It's not defensive. It's not 2 feet on the brakes, right? Because we could just give you a 50% beta strategy, right? Beta 0.5. That's not 2 feet on the brakes. It's that asymmetry. We're catching the up, most of it, and we're avoiding the down. And what I need your guys' help in bringing to life is that you go, oh, let's just say it's 95 and 75, right? Oh, it's 20%. But think of the math. You got $100 today. You lose 50% tomorrow. You're $50. What do you need to get back to $100? Not 50%, 100%, right? So that 20% delta is dollars is much larger than it appears like, oh, just 20%, right? And that's how, and so if you believe the market's going up and down, and every time you're getting 95 up and only 25 down, but 95 up and 25 down, now compound that in dollars over a volatile market, like we're going to look awesome. I just had a quarterly review at AY McDonald this morning, who's been in QLV for 3 years. 3 years, their experience inception to date has been 200 basis points per year. In the last year, for the last 1 year, last 12 months, 600 basis points outperformed.
Who's it by?
AY McDonald.
AY McDonald.
Yeah, sure. They look like an insurer. It's a corporate balance sheet, but we've invested them like an insurer.
So, okay. So let's go to some of these examples, right? So the power of the case study is, and there'll be no names, is to actually have somebody who had the problem, who bought the products we offered, they bought it, they had this experience you're describing, and they're happy, right? And other people can see the same challenge, the same choices, and the same result, right? So you mentioned AY McDonald. Are there some that this story has played out a little bit longer over time, or other examples like that? AY McDonald, did the path follow the one you just described, or was it kind of?
Early days, we were laggards by a little bit, because that was 2017 was one of those years, right? And so that's when we were experiencing the 95%. And so early days, we were kind of at 95. We're like, look, we're keeping up and we're delivering, and we're going to protect you on the downside. And then it delivered, absolutely. So then in that next year, in 2018, we were up. Absolutely up. When the rest of the market was down 5%.
Did they
put the two together, and it's 600 basis points as of March quarter?
So in terms of their challenge, when you started that process with them, what was their position as understanding their challenge, or the challenge you told them they had?
So the balance sheet assets, it's a private company, so again, uber conservative. They wanted to maintain their balance sheet assets purchasing power, but they wanted to stay liquid. So cash was not the answer, because cash would erode purchasing power over time. At the end of the day, we built them a 50-50 portfolio, and that was 50 fixed income and 50 equities, and the equity solution was QLV. The equity solution was QLV because they kind of were comfortable in the large cap space, and they liked the idea of a lower volatility, and they liked the idea of outperformance, the potential for outperformance, which we delivered. So it's not an insurance company, but similar. To get back to Grange, so they were indexed, waiting to hear back from them on this. We said now is the time for active. We can help. We can add alpha, and we can do it with a TAE framework. Part of the value add is we can get you from your index portfolio into a QLV portfolio tax aware over time.
So it's the transition that appealed to them.
The fact that
tax-efficient transition to a QLP,
right,
to a large cap portfolio.
Any other manager is going to say, all right, you want to go on my flagship strategy? Liquidate, give it to me. And they're like, boom, 30% tax on, a third of the value gone, right, on all the sales again. And if they're an insurer that's held on to this for 15 years, it's all it can.
So, one of the questions, so I've heard, and maybe it's at the time, so a lot of the examples that I've heard in the Northern Trust Asset Management shot, right, is the QDS story with insurers, right? And how, at the time, like I said, that was the way to get the income from my portfolio, right, was to do some equities, right? That gap is closed, right? But I've also heard the dividend taxation advantage and the recapturing it of the dividend and the benefit there. Is that still a real benefit to owning like a QDF, the more significant underperformance aside? Is that a story that's like an old story that doesn't?
Yes.
It is. It is.
I mean, yeah, it's still valid. I think just less consequential in the mind share, right? And also, all the tax cuts have helped these institutional taxpayers as well. So that's another reason why now we can kind of start to have this conversation. When it was 30, 35%, now I think it's 20 something. And again, Brock knows the rate 30.
20, yeah.
20. Yeah, but now that helps them kind of say like, okay, maybe all those unrealized gains I'm sitting on, like they've known for a long time that their portfolio is way out of whack, and that they're not, then even if they're indexed, they're not really following the index because they told their managers not to sell anything, which means they're like indexed, but they trended off kind of this way. They get that, we're out of whack, now it's time to fix it because the tax pain.
So they're not going to perpetuate the dividend thing. They're trying to reconcile their actual gains. Because of the low, because the taxes are so much lower. Okay.
Well, and now that my fixed income portfolio is contributing to my book income, my book yield, maybe I'm less fearful. Maybe I want an equity strategy that does what equities are supposed to do.
So,
instead of using equities to shoehorn my fixed income because rates are so low.
So if we step back a little bit, so really exciting, these two stories like that are here, like they're recent with a White McDonald, they're right in front of us, and I'm guessing there's a lot more that you're working that way. If you had to go back 2 or 3 years, right, just in painting maybe our insurance business, right, our insurance book here, what does that look like? And, you know, is it a long list? Were they all indexed? We took some of them from index to TAE. We took some of them to index QDF or index QDF TEE. Like, what's our current model of clients we've had in that space today? Knowing that, again, put aside where we're going, which I think is a really exciting story for them.
Yeah, I think there were some early, I guess is my perspective, actually 6 years ago. Let's say maybe 10 years ago, so kind of a depth crisis or right before crisis when those were making changes. There was a period of time where Northern Trust Asset Management brought on a lot of QDF plus TAE and index plus TAE mandates.
With insurance. Okay.
That's about the last movement, like big movement.
Pre-crisis?
During crisis, kind of early days, pre to early days crisis. And I said there probably has not been a lot of movement since then, so recently.
So I've been here 2.5 years. I've heard a lot about American Family.
With the exception of American Family.
Okay. So what's the that's a name, one insurer, one NTAM Victory, and so tell me about that relation, their movement, because I think they're into factors or in some way. What's happening there?
All right. So all the way back to the beginning of American Family. So American Family had that guy, too, who was data and buying stocks around it.
Okay.
Richard White. Yeah. So this was his job. This is what he did. He actually drives a Porsche Boxster with a Wisconsin license plate, stocks, STOXX. I'm not kidding. Okay. And so his job pretty much was like to beat his policy benchmark literally by 50 basis points. And his compensation was tied to whether he beat the policy benchmark by 50 basis points. The policy benchmark was set by the CIO and, had a large cap, mid cap, small cap allocation to it. Okay, so this is great insight into the kind of this kind of data manager I was telling you about. So he pretty much like buy beta for 80%, right? And maybe he'd make allocation weights, and then he'd do stock picks around it and try to beat the benchmark by 50%. And so an unlikely candidate to move And I wasn't there at the time. You'd have to ask the Aitchisons and Franks of the world, but an unlikely candidate to talk to the equity portfolio manager, literally about outsourcing his job. And he outsourced his job to us from a stock picking standpoint. And instead, now he builds portfolios with us. We built QDF for AmFed, right? In fact, I think they first came to us asking for, like, who's the best dividend provider out there? Can you smart beta me a dividend strategy? Like, we'll pick the index. Together we'll pick the index and you manufacture it. And I think where QDF came from is we looked at all the smart beta dividend providers and said, these are all really just sector bets. And you're going to get swung from utilities over here to over here, right? What you want is this type of portfolio construction. So we built QDF for them. AmFed was the original investor in QDF to the tune of billions. We built QDF for him, how we dealt with, but then he also wanted some of that beta, some of that alpha, and some of that growth. So we gave him a Russell Top 200. So it's the top 200 names in the Russell 1000. That's the mega caps. So we gave him a Russell Top 200 TAE, so it's pretty much index TAE. So we got a growth mega cap TAE. You got QDF in the belly, and then we put Bergson and small cap on the small cap side. And we kind of ran that, we ran that portfolio for the balance sheet. Then he put us in his pension plan. Eventually, we got over to the DC side, and we want to convert. And again, ex ante, you would think makes the unlikely